Okay, today we're going up to Williams College in Western Massachusetts, up in the Berkshire Mountains, beautiful area. And I'd been there a number of times, but one particular time was at an anniversary celebration with a number of other campus ministers all over the country. And that was a commemorative gathering for a prayer meeting. The prayer meeting took place 200 years before to that date. It was in August of 2006 we were there, and that meeting originally was in 1806. It was a small gathering of 5 men who left the campus to go down by the Haystack River and pray. They prayed every Wednesday and every Saturday, and on this particular Saturday, it was a hot, humid Saturday afternoon, and a huge storm swept up. And the storm turned into such a thunderstorm that they needed to find shelter, and the place they found shelter was in a haystack. There weren't very many structures around at the time. In fact, there weren't very many colleges on the North American continent at that time. There were only 25. And this was at the time, 1806, this was at the time when Lewis and Clark were exploring the great Northwest. The Louisiana Purchase had just taken place. And Thomas Jefferson was at Monticello and he was president. And this prayer meeting was during a time when the French Enlightenment was starting to come into American society, and it was not culturally appropriate to pray on campus, would you believe, in 1806. So these guys went off campus to pray. And when the storm swept up, they needed to find shelter. They put their heads, I guess, into this haystack. I can't imagine how much shelter a haystack's going to give, and I certainly don't understand how the next thing that happened. These men felt that maybe God wasn't finished with their prayer time yet. So they decided to continue in prayer. And what they had been praying that day was for Asia and for student involvement in missions. Now, the thing that makes that unique is that, they prayed for Asia and missions primarily because they got a hold of a little booklet written by a cobbler in England named William Carey. He became what was known as the first modern missionary. He wasn't the first missionary, and not even in modern times, but he was considered the first modern missionary, the father of modern missions, because he formed a missionary society that would pray for him and support him from the homeland, right? He ended up sailing to Calcutta, India. So these 5 students got a hold of this book, and they began to pray along those same lines, that every nation needs a witness and that they should be going to the nations. So when they were praying, they felt like God really wanted them to press in, and they pressed in prayer during this thunderstorm in a haystack. And it was there they made a declaration, and the declaration was as simple as this: we can do this if we will. In other words, we're going to become the answer to our own prayers. So in that haystack, history was changed, because these 5 students became some of the very first missionaries sent from the North American continent. They formed the first mission society. It was the first intercollegiate agency, the first Bible Society in North America, the first urban mission, the first attempt to go to the continent of Africa, to Liberia, even for repatriation of former slaves in the North American continent. This is in 1806, remember. Samuel Mills was the leader of that prayer meeting in Western Massachusetts in 1806. It changed history. And so there's a monument to that prayer meeting on the Williams College campus. The sad thing is, most of the students that go there don't even know why there's a monument on their campus and what it represents and how it's important. So as we pray today, pray the campus, hashtag pray the campus. As we pray for Williams College, pray that students would become students of history, actual history, and those events those small events, like a group of 5 students praying, how those kinds of events can change history, that they as students can be a part of being history makers, that they don't need to be activists that raise their fists in protests in the streets. They can be activists in the spirit, in prayer, and bring about change, not just for their own society, their own culture, and their own people, but for every nation. That we can be on our campuses agents of change, witnesses that bring about positive change for a positive future. There is still hope for the future, my friends. God is calling a new generation of prayer warriors, and I believe it's to begin on the campuses. Pray the campus.